I was trying to think of a really good hook just barely, but I was like, man, I want to say something like, this is my like superhero friend, Michael. I used to think that I was the best in the world at Facebook ads. And then I met Michael. I took a framework that Michael taught at an October Inner Circle meeting with Russell Brunson. I plugged it into my lowest performing ad set. And in just a week's time, it had matched my highest performing ad set. Michael, how are you, man? It's awesome to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm good. You?
I'm doing good. I'm always good when you're around. Michael's one of my favorite people in Russell's Inner Circle. And it's the willingness that he has to share all of the knowledge that he has. Very open, very transparent about a lot of stuff. And you get a lot of really cool opportunities to learn from groups like Facebook because of how you advertise. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Right.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and what your business is.
Well, I'm Michael, actually, like you said. I'm from Germany, but I do mostly business in the States. But my journey started as a sales rep, actually. So I was in the hair industry and the makeup industry. I was visiting hair salons. So I was just driving around like 70, 80,000 miles per year, just like knocking on doors, like the old school sales. Yeah, actually, so code drives. And yeah, that's how my business journey started. And then I was in the real estate business as well as a broker. So I always was in sales. And then I read russellswroop.com secrets, I think 2015, 16. Yeah. And this is where my online journey started, actually, the online marketing journey. And yeah, that's how I digged into this whole world. And since then I'm a Russell Brunson fan, and like I'm a follower, and I try to learn everything concerning like funnels and ads. And yeah, and then this is the short form, let's say like this.
So tell me a little bit about how did you get into sales, and then how did sales transition you into the business? Because it takes a special kind of person to be good at sales, and to actually make a career out of it and do that for a living. But then how did you also leverage that experience and take it into business ownership?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that are salesmen. They try to get into business. They try at entrepreneurship. It gets overwhelming because all of a sudden it's not just sales, it's managing the business.
Right. Yeah. So I was like, my dad was working for Wella, the big hair care company, actually. And so this is how I got into this world, hair care and stuff like this. And yeah, I was just like I said, a sales rep, just driving around. But what I learned in this time is persistency, just keep going. Even if you get like 10 no's, there will be a certain time where we get a yes, or probably 2 or 3 yeses in a row. And this is what I learned when I started, especially in this industry. I was coming from a world like insurance, real estate, coming in the hair care world, which was completely different. I was like, it was way more emotional selling than either like talking about numbers and stuff like this. So what I did, I went into this world like I did the real estate selling, but it didn't work out. So I had like 50 no's at the beginning when I started till I had my first yes. And this was the consistency. I think that's the same kind in when you get into business, and as an entrepreneur, you need to be persistent, right? Keep going. Even if you fail, there will be a certain time where you'll be successful. These overnight stories that you hear sometimes, this is just happening because you had failed 7 years, 8 years, 9 years in a row.
Yeah.
So, and this is, some kind of, I would say, comparison that you can have. And it's the same line when I went into the online marketing space. The time as a sales rep actually helped me to understand sales copywriting, via persona. Yeah. And having these objections in mind that you have usually in a one-on-one conversation. So I knew when I write a landing page, for example, when I write an ad, I have to keep in mind my prospect has so many objections and I need to cover them in my ad or my landing page already. So this was some kind of transition. The objection in mind and the persistency as a businessman in general. Yeah.
Definitely. I like how you talked about you learn these skills, you develop them even more through your salesmanship journey. And that made your transition actually easier because you understood what was happening from the bigger perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that's a really good tool that our viewers could definitely use. So tell us a little bit about the business that you run. I think you got a couple aspects of that now, right?
Yeah, right. So I do mostly physical products. So we run several e-com stores and brands. But I do also a lot of consulting, coaching, in the e-commerce space and Facebook ads and stuff like this. So that's what we mainly do. And it's still the same. I mean, it's like building a brand. It's the same kind of road always, right? You have these ups and downs. It's like you need to be persistent. And what we are doing currently is we are building a completely new brand, and we are working on this project say 1.5 or 2 years. So we thought we can ramp it up in 5 months, 6 months, but that's not the case, you know.
Yeah.
We are still working on it, but it's the same again. You need to be persistent, consistent, and now hopefully we can launch the first product somewhere in August. But I think it's even if you think the longer you're on the game, it's get at a certain stage easier. No, it's just like your mindset is different, right? When I had these up and downs at the beginning. These downs especially, they kept me down mindset-wise. Now it's just like, okay, it's happening. And when I'm up, I'm prepared. I will be down probably in 2 or 3 months again because something is happening.
Yeah.
And that's the world of entrepreneurship, right? And
learning to be fluid with that, though,
Exactly.
I think is an important secret. We've mentioned persistence a lot.
Yeah.
Here. Something that I tell my viewers often is, I call it the entrepreneur success formula, but it's consistent action and consistent learning equals success.
Right.
As long as you keep trying and you keep learning how to do it better, how to be more efficient, how to be more effective, how to reach your audience, you'll win.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Right.
As long as you don't give up. The persistence key is what lets you keep taking action and keep learning then.
Yeah.
I love that. So you mentioned that you do physical products and you do coaching.
Yes.
I'm curious, and it's totally a selfish question because I do e-commerce and I also do coaching. What difference have you seen in how you have to advertise between the two different businesses?
Yeah. So it's like, I think the advertisement itself is when you do your homework, starting out with knowing your buyer persona. I mean, if you drive sales or if you drive an opt-in to whatever page it is or whatever you do, a funnel, it's always the same kind of process, I think. It's you have a problem or you have a pain, and can you solve the problem or the pain within your ad on your landing page? And I think that's always the same kind of process, right? So your ads are not running, and I do my research. I will find the ways how you get in my coaching program, for example. If you have, I don't know, hair problems for whatever reason, I will find these kind of problems. I know exactly how to talk to this specific audience to get them on the landing page and to drive the purchase. So I think it's like the process is more or less the same. Find the problems, desires, anxiety of your audience and just dig deep into it and solve them in your ad. And that's it. I mean, it sounds so easy.
It does sound so easy. So I mentioned at the start of this video that you're probably one of the best people in the world at Facebook ads. Because I thought I was like in the top tier, and then I met you and I'm like, whoa, this dude's so out of my league. Do you recommend, as a general rule then, is paid traffic your preference for generating leads? For example, if we have viewers and they're starting an info product or a coaching business, it's daunting to go into paid ads early.
Yeah.
What's your recommendation for generating traffic for a new entrepreneur?
Well, actually, when you start fresh, I would say just organic at the beginning, like YouTube. It depends on the niche you are in. But if you have like some products or educational products, I would go definitely to long form, like YouTube videos, stuff like this.
Yeah.
And then I would head over if I get traffic on my land. So I would install the pixel, for example, from the beginning. But then I would try to get organic traffic and feed the pixel with high quality leads, which means when you get someone from organic long form on your landing page, it's highly likely someone who was warm. And this is the goal at the beginning, just to warm up the pixel organically. Because if you start fresh and you have no idea how Facebook ads work, then you burn a lot of money, of course. So it's like either first warm up the pixel and then start to run ads. It's way easier this way.
I really like that you mentioned YouTube, especially.
Yeah.
So I've been telling people this story. I sat next to a dentist at Funnel Hacking Live this past February, and he was telling me he doesn't pay for lead generation anymore. He gets paid for lead generation. I said, well, hold on, man. I'm spending thousands of dollars a month on ads.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? He says, okay, so I'm a dentist. I make YouTube videos about being a dentist. Like, how does a dentist brush his teeth? How does a dentist, drill a cavity? How does a dentist, or what does a dentist recommend for mouthwash? Boring videos when you think about it like that. But people use YouTube as a search engine. So they go to YouTube with their questions.
Exactly.
In that sense, they're already niching themselves down for the platform. It makes it easier for YouTube to put your content in front of the right people.
Yeah.
So then you get viewers that want to view your content. Your content develops the relationship with the viewers, and then you generate a high quality lead. The beauty of this too is that the more subscribers you have, the more views you get on YouTube. YouTube does the ad revenue share.
Yes.
So you can get paid on YouTube and generate leads on YouTube. And once you have a video uploaded to YouTube, it's there forever, always generating leads for you.
Yeah.
It's gold. I love the idea of starting with YouTube and then conditioning the pixel there as well. That's probably a mistake that I made early. I threw a bunch of traffic at my page and it wasn't warm and it wasn't high quality. And that probably makes it take longer for me to optimize that pixel and get some good results.
What you could do, for example, if you want to, if we keep in the topic, like warming up a pixel, I mean, if you do a great research on your audience and you know exactly what the problems and pains are, and you find some long tail keywords, very cheap actually, right? If you see, I mean, you don't go into the big keyword, you go deep into the long tail keywords, and you just write like blog posts or advertorials and run paid ads to the blog post, for example. You collect actually someone who's interested, otherwise you wouldn't click on the long tail keyword, and you feed the pixel with the right information, very cheap.
Oh my gosh, that's genius.
Yes, so that's what...
This is what I'm talking about. Something I never even thought of doing.
Yeah.
Now, I've run blog posts to do that, but I've never done the paid traffic aspect.
Very cheap, especially if you go for long tail. No one is doing it. They're all lazy, right? So they're going for the big keywords. So, but do the homework, sit down for 1 or 2 days, really dig into it. It takes a week or two, your pixels warmed up with the exact audience that you want. So it's...
The beauty there is you drive that traffic and then they warm up a little bit because they're reading it. You're developing authority for your blog post, your video. And then you just retarget them with the...
Exactly. Yes.
It's so good. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in the beauty space. You run Facebook ads.
Yes.
What's the coaching side look like for you?
Actually, it's like, I mean, it's not, I don't do a lot of the one-to-many stuff. It's more like one-on-ones. It's more consulting than coaching, I would say. I'm stepping more in like a growth partner, like a fractional CMO, seeing where the issues are and try to solve the problems.
Sure.
That's more or less like what I do now, what I'm willing to do now in the future. Just like I'm building now currently one-to-many coaching program, what just can help like media buyers, creative strategists, someone who wants just to run their own traffic, just get going and keep starting and then scaling actually. Like it's a full program from,
And I think you said the other night, you're merging those to some degree. Was it you that said you were adding challenges to the front end of your products?
Yes, to the ecom products, yeah.
Okay, so this is a huge innovation when it comes to e-commerce. I never thought of it. Here, you planted the seed for what that I'm thinking about how I can do that now. What does a challenge in front of an e-com product look like?
Yeah.
And why does it work?
So what the base idea was, when we started the challenge itself, we had on one of our products a very high return rate. So the idea was, how can we get the return rate down actually? So then because we are in the coaching space, it's like, it's not only to warm up an audience, but also like how just to educate them on a certain product. So what we did is we are running now a 7 days challenge. And since we are running the challenge, it's just like each day, actually, we show how to use the product in different kind of daily situations and in different kind of techniques. And since we started this, not only that the conversion rate went up, we also dropped the return rate by 50%. So higher conversion rate, lower return rate, higher profit margin.
Absolutely.
And this was like a project we planned out maybe in 4 or 5 days. Then we executed it in 2 days. And probably it's now, I don't know, 400,000 or 500,000 more profit a year just because we implemented it.
Wow.
Yeah.
talk about a bottom line mover. So something that you can implement that if you're trying to do e-commerce or physical products, teach the customer how to use those products after they purchase it, right? So you still sell it like it's a normal e-commerce product. And then you coach them up on it after they receive the product.
Yeah.
And the beauty there is that depending on the product, it could be a 3-day challenge, a 5-day challenge, a 7-day, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But you give them an intimate understanding of how to use it. And while you're doing that, by the way, those are all touch points that they have with your business where you're building a relationship.
Yeah.
And they're solidifying the fact that you are the authority in that space.
Yeah.
So when they need a similar product or they need something to complement their product, it's automatic. It's you. You're the answer.
Yeah, exactly. That's and the next idea is, like, because we are launching new products now in August, is we probably have to re-record it, but then we pitch on each day a complementary product to upsell.
There you go.
So to increase immediate lifetime value, because then we probably can spend way more on the front end because we make the money back way faster on the back end. Because sometimes e-commerce, depending on the niche, it's half your loss in the front end, and then you earn back the money with a lifetime value, right? So that's sometimes the game you have to play in e-com, and especially in the beauty niche. So yeah, that's the idea.
Something that worked really well for me in e-com was I went with a higher ticket product up front, and then all of my additional products were value adds back to it. So it prevented me from being upside down or negative on my ad spend. And then everything on top that was sold was icing on the cake, essentially, like that. It's been something that I typically recommend core an e-commerce sort of setup is you have your core products and then you have accessories to those products that drive additional value for the customer. How do you recommend somebody getting into e-commerce, or if someone's interested in e-commerce, what do you recommend they do to start?
Well, actually, it's like, e-com is like testing products, of course. So you need to have a system in place where you constantly can test new products, what's working actually. Now, of course, we have the tariff issues, which is a bit difficult to test, especially if you have products from China. But in general, I would say if you want to go into e-com, look for products that for niches where you feel great in, right? So something that you have knowledge about. Don't do, I was in beauty for like 10 years, just driving around. So I knew exactly which kind of mascara is working, what kind of hair care is working. But if you have no touch point with beauty and you start with beauty, it's difficult because you don't have the feeling, you don't get the emotional part with these kind of products. So find products that you like, that you understand, and then just find suppliers around you. Test small, just like buy 50 products on stock, or even drop ship it and see if it's working, yes or no. I mean, it's just like, and you don't need to get a lot of sales in the beginning. Just see what are the metrics. Do I get at least clicks? What are my CTRs, my CPCs? And these kind of stuff I would just recommend. And then test 20 products per month and see what sticks.
So there's a couple things to unpack there. I mean, that was like, replay that last 2 minutes. That's the value 2 minutes here. So a lot of things to unpack. One of the things that I've done in the past that's helped me split test, but also mitigate my risk, is I implement a pre-sale model.
Yeah.
And what that essentially is, if you don't know, launch your products, create your designs, launch your products, but you don't have any physical products yet. And you just put a note on the top of that sales page that these products will ship in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whenever, right? But you can already drive traffic. You can collect sales, and the money that's coming in to buy those products is the money that you use to actually go and buy the products from the manufacturer, the supplier, and bring them in and then ship them out. So you mitigate your risk on launching a new product that way. Bonus points when you do it in a split test. So I do a pre-sale launch with 2 products. And if one of them gets very poor reviews, that's okay. We just funnel the traffic back to the other product.
Yeah.
Right. It works really well in like clothing and designs. So if you have, let's say you do like Hawaiian shirts or something like that, and you want to test a couple designs, throw them all up for pre-sale. If you have a handful that don't sell, you just hey, sorry, we didn't get enough to make these a reality, or hey, sorry, these are out of stock. And you just drive their traffic back to the ones that you are going to make.
Yeah.
And you're going to get 30, 40% of those people that convert on top of what you already had.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of that. Gosh, I have to go back in my head because there was so much I wanted to talk about from that last paragraph. He talked about your passion and your interests as well. I tell people this is critical. You have to work in a niche that you're actually interested in and passionate about. If you don't make real content.
Yeah.
Right? You want to make content that is authentic to you and to the people that are going to be buying that product. And real people recognize real things.
Yes.
If you're making fake content because you're trying to peddle products online, it's not going to stick. Your advertising is going to suck. But if you make legitimate content from a perspective of you being passionate about the product, that's where people connect with that and resonate with your message and you win. Right?
100%. And it's like, it's not only the product, it's also like, what kind of audience are you actually looking for, right? So if you have, I don't know, let's say you are 20, 25 and you have no touch points with retirees and you have suddenly a product which fits in this group, you have a product that you don't understand and suddenly an audience that you don't understand. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's the problem. What I often see is like, there's no congruency between a product and an audience understanding. And that's why I always say, okay, not only the product, also the audience is important. So if you are like a Gen Z or something, you start out, look for products that you like and in your kind of audience group, like what are your friends like, what are your, so that's the most important thing. It's not only the product, it's also the audience. And then you have the perfect fit between product and audience.
So something we've talked about a lot this week at the Mastermind is that you can't really understand things that aren't in your frame of reference.
Right.
It's the same concept. You can't market to people who have a different frame of reference than you.
Yeah.
You can't build relationships with people who can't see a similar frame of reference. One of the things that worked for me in e-commerce, because most of my customers are actually 20 years older than me and retiring. So it's like, how do I connect with those people? And the secret was mutual experiences or shared interests.
Right.
Right? Everybody has some commonalities to some degree just because we're humans.
Yeah.
So if, for example, this 25-year-old Gen Zer is trying to market to retirees in Florida, what do they both have in common? Maybe it's that they like warm weather and the beach. Maybe it's that they're, patriotic, or maybe it's that, there's different interests that can bring people together. But you have to know enough about your audience and your market to understand what those interests are and how to tell the story relating your product to those people and those interests.
Right.
Something that I did really bad actually recently. I'm going to be embarrassed to tell the story. Did I tell you about my email mess up?
No.
My book? Okay. So I wrote a book. The book is called How the Hell Are You Doing This?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
I treated it like an e-commerce product. I sent out an email blast to my list and I said, hey, here's this book. This is what you're going to learn. It's awesome. Buy it. I sent 50,000 emails and I got 0 sales. Oh, no. That's embarrassing to say. So I got on a call with Dave Lindenbaum and I'm like, Dave, I don't know what happened, man. I sent all these emails. I got a few hundred clicks, no sales. I'm like, what happened? He's like, dude, those people are interested in one thing and they're interested in that. You're trying to sell them something completely different and there was no bridge.
Yeah.
There was no story that connected them. There was nothing for them to feel invested in that.
Yeah.
So they didn't. So they didn't buy. And I'm like, okay, Dave, I'm going to go try again. So I created another email, big sales text, sales letter. I wrote out my story. I tried to kind of model it after like how Russell Brunson does his storytelling emails. And I sent it out to like 20,000 people. And I got like 4 sales or 5 sales. But I got a couple and I'm like, okay, I just need to warm these people up. Maybe there's some, I'm like, that's a 0.0001%. Yeah, that was a big fail. So there is a difference. You mentioned info coaching and e-commerce now. There's a difference in how those are marketed to some degree. the concepts sound the same, right? You got to warm up your pixel.
Yeah.
You're going to send traffic to it. But have you noticed any difference in maybe the creatives? Like what makes a difference to selling your coaching or your challenge versus just a product off a shelf?
Actually, like I said at the beginning, it's more, once you understand the problems, desires, anxieties, objections of your audience, the process is more or less for creative the same. In a, I would say, e-com ad, you focus more on the product itself. Depends what kind of product it is. If it's like, I don't know, a hair tool, you can show it. It's way easier to sell. If it's a skincare, you need to drop a lot of benefits. You need to know the problems. You need to transition the problem into a solution. And then the landing page is a big part of it. If you run advertorials and stuff like this. So you need to find a transformation from, I have a problem and I definitely buy the solution. That's always the point, right? When we have a purchase, it's buy the solution. And I think with coaching, it's not different. If you have a problem in ads or whatever, and I know your pain points in ads, and I hook you with the right problem, and I guide you through my ads, transition you from my problem again into the solution, and the landing page is, and there's the congruency, you purchase, right? Because you know I'm the guy who will probably help you out. So I think it's like the process, and I was running a lot of creatives in ads in different kind of niches. I did SaaS, I did e-com, I did info, and the process, creating the creative, is more or less always the same. So, you know, the process is more or less always the same. And I'm a fan of understand your audience really, like a deep understanding, instead of just getting into any shiny objects or follow a specific trend. You can, like any TikTok trends, whatever. But when you see people like John Cable's, Ted Nicholas, especially John Cable's, who was doing diaries ones in the 1920s, where research was difficult, but where newspaper direct mail was difficult. But even these guys, everything that they did, we do also in our time, right? It's just we do it online. So that's the only difference. But the buyer psychology was 1920 the same like it is now. So understand your buyer persona, understand what drives they, what kind of problems do they have, let's solve them. That's the easiest way how to be successful.
Absolutely.
Especially in ads.
So you talked about identifying, you know, the problems and the anxieties of your ideal customer.
Yes.
This is the framework that Michael was telling me about last October that I plugged in and really helped my ads go. Do you mind talking about why that's powerful and what that looks like for someone who wants to put that in an ad?
Of course. So what I always do is like, I make a small list, just like problem, anxieties, desires, objections. And then I head over to like Reddit or something, or if you're in the e-commerce space, so Amazon, just check your competitors' reviews, start to read them, and try to find patterns, even if it's problems or benefits they have with your competitor, and just start to write them down, put them in a list, and start to count what you find. Let's say, I don't know, I have health scalp issues, and you always see the same kind of patterns, start to count them. And at a certain point, you have a huge list where you have like some problems you find 10 times or 15 times, and some you find even just 1 or 2 times. So then you start to concentrate, of course, based on the ones you find most, because this, you know, based on research,
a bigger problem.
Exactly. So this is how I then create my ads and craft my ads. So when I have, let's say, I found 10 problems with a lot of frequency, then I just go ahead and see. Sometimes I use exactly the same kind of wording in the review and drive in as a hook. Because that's not only the problem of the audience, it's also the same kind of tonality, the language that your audience speaks. So you have actually a win-win, right? So you find the problem and you use the tonality. And this is what I try as a hook. And I can see immediately what kind of problems trigger my audience.
Yeah.
When I know this, then I go to the next step, and then I start to write like video copy and ad copy more in detail. But the first step is just the audience testing. It's so simple.
The beauty of this too, if you're in e-commerce, is those same places that you're drawing the reviews from and you're trying to find what the problems are. That's like market research you use to develop and enhance your products.
Yes.
For example, I sold protective gloves for a while. And one of the things my competitors always said was, the glove would rip between the thumb and the forefinger.
Yes.
So the very first thing I did was contact the supplier and say, hey, I want to make a glove kind of like this, showed them some pictures, and I said, but we have to reinforce between the thumb and the forefinger. So they add a piece of leather there, so we could fix it. And then you still know that that's how you need to structure your advertisement. So you take that hook and you say, these gloves won't tear. Right?
There you
if
go.
their complaint is it tears, these gloves won't tear.
Yeah.
And they look at them and they're like, hey, that's kind of like the gloves that I like, but these ones are stronger, they won't tear. Or if somebody says the materials are too weak, these break, you're pitching your ads to, this is the strongest product and it won't break.
Right.
It's so simple. I love it. The thing is, a lot of people, especially when you're starting off or you're aspiring in business, you're overwhelmed, right? There's a lot of things that you're trying to learn. You're trying to figure out. You're learning to track KPIs that you've never heard of before. You don't, and I mean, all this information that you're sharing, this is accessible to anybody. Anyone can get on Amazon and look at reviews or Google or eBay. But it's not something you think about because it's not something anyone ever teaches you.
Right. And that's what I said. The fundamentals, I think, is also when we look into the future. I mean, we see a lot of AI stuff. AI is here to stay, right? We just need to see what is actually here to stay and what's the development and media buying in general in the future. But I think the fundamentals are more important than ever because understanding your audience, like knowing the problems, anxieties, desires, and craft the messaging around it is actually, like I said, that's the reason why you buy, because someone is solving my problem. And when you see I do see a lot of ads, very generic at the moment. You see the copywriting is done by ChatGPT. That's fine. You can do it, definitely. But the more AI we see, the more similarities we will see in ads. But when you do your research and not ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever is doing your research, you do it yourself. Sit down manual, take the time, learn the language, learn the tonality, learn the problems. And you will always be different than someone who is lazy and just go the fast way using ChatGPT. You know what I mean? So it's like completely different. And I believe in the fundamentals from the 1920s. So it's like,
So something you're talking about that's kind of parallel here, and I hope our viewers are picking up on this. The more AI is prevalent, the more it gets used for advertising and content creation, the more we recognize patterns, you said, right?
yes.
And we identify it as, oh, that's AI. And it's a turnoff. It shuts us off, right?
Yes.
The more AI becomes prevalent, the more we want the human touch, the more we want that interaction. So doing something to differentiate yourself, like you said, you're sitting down, you're, learning the old ways of doing the marketing. You're implementing those, you're collecting data, you're writing, you're standing out, and then you're giving it that human touch that people still want and are looking for. It's genius.
Yeah. But it's so simple, right? It's like, but it's what marketers do since 100 years.
Yeah.
And that's what drives sales, actually. And I have a strong belief in that this is actually, and I'm thinking that we're heading now into probably a gold rush in paid ads. That's what I think. If you know how to do it the right way. Like I said, when we check now, maybe I'm now too technical. I don't know. When we see the Andromeda updates currently going on Facebook, so there's a switch now in June and July, and that Facebook, or let's say all the platforms, was always ad to audience, right? So you had like an ad and Facebook identified, let's say, I don't know, it's beauty. And then this kind of beauty ad fits in this kind of audience bucket. So it's actually ad to audience. What's happening now with the Meta AI, for example, when someone is searching for any problem inside of Meta AI and is heading back to Facebook or Instagram, guess what's happening? If your ad solves this exact problem, what someone was just asking Meta AI, you have a creative and ad user matching real time. So when you do your research, coming back to the fundamentals, when you do your research and you know what is an audience typing into ChatGPT, what of anxieties do they have, and your product is solving that, there's the match. So you have actually, like I said, creative messaging to user and not an ad to an audience. And that's the future
of awesome.
Yes, and that's the future of advertising.
So like we were saying earlier, one of the things that really impressed me about Google is you search for something it views your content based on the description, as does that answer this problem? Yes or no? If it does, it matches them. So you're telling us that Facebook and its Meta, they're moving in that direction as well.
Yes.
Optimizing themselves as a search engine to solve user problems, create more value for their audience.
Yes.
Subsequently helps create more value for the creators that are consistent on the platform. It's a really good business strategy, I think.
Of course.
They're not stupid.
No.
At all. Okay. So, we're kind of starting to touch on this already. The strategy of the ads, right? We're talking about the problems, the desires, the anxieties that we're agitating those things. We're talking about Andromeda now in this update that I don't know anything about what it looks like other than the stuff that you tell me so far, but maybe I'll go Google that. What kind of, actually, let me reel myself in. Talking about strategy. You've mentioned the old ways, the 1920s ways of doing things a few times.
Yes.
Where did you learn that?
Actually, I don't know, it was after I had the book from Russell.com Secrets, I got from Eugene Schwartz, Breakthrough Advertising.
Okay.
It's super, I don't know, have you seen it once on Amazon, what the cost is?
No.
It costs somewhere between $600 and $700, depending on when you buy it and how much are actually available. Yeah, because it's a rare book. So, and I bought it at $500 at this time.
Wow.
And this got me into the old world of advertising. Then I bought a lot of John Cable's books, how to write headlines. And I got from Ted Nicholas, Magic Words, such a great book. So, and this is how I learned the kind of old school copywriting, buy-up psychology, why we buy, what drives us to make a buying decision or purchase decision. And this was my pathway, and that's what I still use because I believe it's the only correct way to drive ads and to drive results, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Are there any other strategies that you would recommend for someone who's getting started in e-commerce, maybe?
You mind ads-wise or in general?
Just in general.
Well, actually, just stuff that we already discussed is like you also said, if you want to test a product, just do like a pre-sale. What we also did sometimes, now we can talk about it because you mentioned something. We even set up landing pages, having a product on it. We sold it just to see if sales is coming in. Then we refunded it if we have seen the volumes not coming in, even if you don't have stock. That's also something you can do just to test similar products or something. But in general, no, it's just like product testing and see what's working, see what sticks, do what you're interested in. And and check margins. It's e-commerce a margin game, right?
Yeah.
So when we source any products, we're always looking for 65 to 70% landed gross margin. We don't touch anything below. That's
time out. And I know some of this is just the numbers game.
Yes.
So I deal in larger ticket e-commerce.
Yeah.
I aim for like 30 to 35% landed margin.
Yeah.
You said 70?
Yeah. Especially if you're in skincare and beauty. You have to take care because you have crazy high CPMs in this game. You have, if you have a very great offer and you nail down the offer and you have a great bundle and you are break even or slightly profitable in the front end, it's great. But usually you have to play the lifetime game. So if your margins are not high enough, you have a cash flow issue very quickly. So that's why you always aim, especially in the beauty niche, I'll also supplement. You need to be at 65, 70% landed. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to be profitable.
Just telling me that, though, now I know how much my lotion actually costs when it gets made before I buy it.
Yes.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well, that's another story, but yeah. There are crazy margins in this game, yeah.
So you've provided a lot of value, right? I appreciate your time. I know time is valuable, man. And stepping away from my family to do like this podcast and shows of work, like I recognize that that's a drain on us. So I'm sure, in a similar way, it's a sacrifice for you to come out and do the show with me. Is there anything I can do for you to provide value to you, your organization, your business?
Well, actually, I mean, you are strong in leadership and stuff like this. This is probably something that where I'm lacking in. I'm more like, I would say, the nerd behind all this stuff. And I have a big backpack, of course, for my team and my environment. But I think there are like stuff where I definitely have issues with leadership and sometimes maybe not showing up enough because I'm the nerd, so it's some kind of, and I'm also an introvert, which is then sometimes not so easy to step out always. And I'm fine in an environment like we are now, where I know all the people. And so this is some kind of weakness that I definitely have and I need to work on. Yeah. So
are there any problems specifically that you notice stem from that?
No, it's just like situations always that I have the same kind of patterns, for example, where I recognize, well, probably I could be more like, or go more into conversations and stuff. And then I was not, well, I was just sitting down here, relaxing, watching the situation. And yeah.
So it's actually something that used to feel very awkward for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had told you this before, but I'm more comfortable talking to a group of people than I am going up and shaking someone's hand and saying, hi, I'm Parker McCumber. It's good to meet you.
Yeah.
But so much of being an effective leader at the business or organizational level is building relationships with the people who are getting the work done.
Yeah.
So I try really hard to have, these team managers, these team leaders in my business, and I maximally empower them as much as I can. But the reason I can do that is because we've developed a trusting relationship beforehand. I make it a point anytime I interview somebody, when they come in to work for me at the very first time, we ask all the generic kind of questions about that, but I'll ask them what their dreams are.
Yeah.
I'll ask them about their family situation.
Yeah.
I'll ask them where they see themselves in 5 years. And the answer probably shouldn't be working in my customer service call center.
Yeah.
But if they're not, they're not always comfortable sharing those things initially. But you build that relationship over time. You continue to talk to them, get to know them, check in on their family. And you have to make sure you're doing a good job of remembering the things they tell you. Are they married? Do they have kids?
Yeah, that's
that
true.
kind of stuff. And you just, in passing, bring those things up a few times, talk to them. And you'll notice that their attitude towards you becomes a lot more warm and inviting to begin with. Then they do start to share those dreams. And, where I run a call center for customer service, it's not their end goal to be a customer service representative working for me. And that's totally fine. And I understand that. So I try to make it a point to just develop them to be a more skilled, better version of themselves, so that when it is time for them to leave and move on and they want to go chase their dream, they're more prepared to do so.
Yeah.
And because of that, we get referrals. Every time somebody leaves our organization, they always referred people to come and work for us still. That's the crazy testimony for that.
Yeah.
So I think let's start with the relationship building aspect. The second part of that is proactive communication, right? As entrepreneurs, we have the vision in our heads of where we want to go, where we want to take the company, but nobody outside of our heads knows what that looks like unless we explicitly tell them. And a lot of times, even though we think we're telling them, they're not understanding it the exact same way. So I try to be very proactive in the communication about that kind of stuff. We talk about what the vision is, and then we set goals around the vision to kind of make sure that we're hitting benchmarks as we get there. And then we follow up on that. We just keep nudging and prodding to say, hey, where are we at on, XYZ goals? Cool. Are we still on track for that vision? Yes. Great. I'm going to keep empowering you. No. Okay. I'm maybe going to take the reins a little bit, and I don't want to say micromanage, because that's not what I really try hard to decentralize and not micromanage, but sometimes you do have to take the reins back. Sorry, I'm starting to ramble. I just, you've read some stuff. I brainstorm it.
Luckily, my wife is taking care of all the stuff, right? But I should sometimes probably step more in, or like you said, get the vision clear, and it's like just letting. I'm always there when someone needs me, but this proactive, right? Like you said, I think sometimes, guys, you should know what our path is, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm constantly thinking about this path. Probably an employee doesn't, and it makes completely sense. But we are sometimes so deep into our own structures that we forget about this stuff.
Yes.
So, and it's,
Well, keep in mind, the employee does the same thing, right? some people, they are just there for the paycheck and they clock in, they clock out, and they don't care about anything beyond their scope of vision. But because of that, they are only focused on their scope and vision. So they don't pay attention to those peripheral things going on around them unless it's explicitly communicated to them. So here's an idea that you can take. This is like the free chicken, man. Implement this and you will immediately see an improvement in your leadership. No joke.
Yeah.
I should do a challenge around this, but like this is legit. So in the military, we use I'm going to tell you two things to do. The first is a mission brief. And the concept of the mission brief is anytime you're about to go execute a mission, you want to sit down beforehand and you want to talk about what your actual mission is. That's like the task you're assigning or the assignment. Why it matters. So what's the cause or what's the why behind it? And then what winning looks like. That's your end state. So if you're doing this right, it should be like, if I give it an example right now, our mission is to go to the bar and grab ourselves a beer and then come back here and finish this podcast. Why does that matter? Because I'm parched and I enjoy a beer.
Yeah.
And then the end state is we're successfully back here we both have a beer.
Yeah.
That's a really simplified way of doing it. But anytime you give somebody directions or instructions, try and give it in that format. What they need to do, why they need to do it, and what winning looks like. Okay. So we start with that. That's step one. Then totally hands off. Let them go and do the thing. And they'll surprise you with their ingenuity. It's a quote I use often is General George Patton from World War II. That was our side.
Well, I mean, yeah.
He said, I tell people what to do. I never tell them how to do it.
Yeah.
I let them surprise me with their ingenuity. I use that same concept, right? The people who are incentivized to solve the problem are the people closest to the problem or working on the problem.
That's true. Yeah.
So we let them do it.
Yeah.
The second step is an after action report. So after the time frame is up or the mission is supposed to be complete, you'll sit down with them. You'll say what was supposed to happen, what actually happened, what went wrong, and how can we do it better? So in our, notional scenario of our mission to go get a beer and come back.
Yeah.
If we make it back here and we don't have beers, we failed. So we're going to talk about why we failed and how we can do it better next time. Maybe it's jumping over the counter to steal the beer from the bartender so that she can't stop us. I don't know. Or if you executed it flawlessly, we walked up there, we got our drinks, we came back, we sat down, we're finishing the podcast. How could we still do it better next time?
Yeah.
And when you frame it like that, you create a system in your business that is always focused on improvement. One, it's what do we got to do? Two, it's how did we do it and how can we do it better? And you just keep doing those two things. And it's impossible to not improve. Like we talked about last night in the Midnight Mastermind. If you apply time and effort to a skill, you get better at that skill.
Right.
If you apply those steps, your leadership gets better.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Makes totally sense. And it's actually a framework, right? It's like just implementing a framework.
I need to think of a really sexy way to pitch that to people, but like that would be a good challenge.
Yeah, of course. There you go. So that's already the pre-announcement. Yeah. That's the trailer. Soon as like the
mission brief and after action report challenge. I got to think of a better way to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But things like that, I think, make a pretty big difference. And they're small and they're easy.
Yeah.
Anyone can do that. It's just the what, why, and what winning looks like.
Yeah.
And then it's what did we do right? What did we do wrong? How do we do it better?
Yeah.
But just that simple act forces you to be in the mindset of improvement. Sweet.
Awesome. Yeah.
You have anything else?
No.
Dude, thank you so much for doing the episode with me. Michael, where can people find you if they want to follow you or learn from you?
Well, actually, I think Instagram or just like Facebook. I'm not such a social media guy. Actually, I have, I think, 247 followers.
Dude, so that's actually really valuable. So if you're an entrepreneur back home and you are watching this video and you think, well, I can't do those things. I can't run ads. I can't run traffic because I have no following. Dude, Michael is killing it.
That's true. Yeah, that's actually true.
He's at the top of the game. Yeah. Facebook teaches him how to do it better because he's so at the top of the game. And here he is in like Russell Brunson's Inner Circle and stuff. So if you can do it with 250 followers,
right,
anybody can do it.
Yeah, that's true. And even when you follow me, I will recognize you because I see when someone is following me.
Very nice. Well, Michael, thanks again for coming on the show. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you in the next episode.
Sweet, dude. That was great.
Was a lot of fun.